Munoz has been really good of late. This is a really good Seattle team that looks like a division winner. They're playing like it, and their closest competition, their flaws are showing up in the worst possible time. So just when you look at these two teams and the health and the depth of Seattle's lineup, they should win the division. They probably will, and they should. The Seattle Mariners right now are the best team, not just with the best record. They are the best team in the American League West, and there are plenty of people who think they might be the best team in the entire league.
The Victor Robles catch, I think maybe in like the last 2 or 3 years, it's like my favorite play. I keep watching it over and over and over again, and I don't know if I'm expecting a different result or something. I don't know.
He's still going to catch it.
Yeah. But I just love the fact that he sold out, and because that's kind of how he got hurt in the first place.
Right.
So just the fact that he was so singularly focused on catching that ball, I think, is part of it. But I don't know. Do you remember a play like that in the field? Is it maybe one of the more spectacular things you've seen in baseball?
One of the best catches I have ever seen. And by the way, I had the thought to note, without a hint of irony, Dave, that a lack of investment in all things has not been an issue for Victor Robles this season, or a lack of passion. No one could ever accuse him of having a lack of passion on the field. Yeah. Okay, in all things. I actually showed that replay to my wife, who is not a sports fan.
I did the same thing. She's not a baseball fan. I made her
watch
it.
Look at this.
These poor
Look
women.
at this. And I said, and her general question is, where did he come from? I said, that's exactly the reason why this is such a great catch, is that the man who makes the play, it's like you keep advancing your finger across the cursor bar. When's he going to pop into the screen? No, not yet. Not
it's
yet.
Fun, isn't it?
Not yet. Here's the ball. Where is he? Oh, there he is. So, and again, Aaron's call on I've listened to the TV call more than the radio, but obviously just Aaron's call of it was magnificent, and it's one of those plays. Actually, my brother-in-law said this. It's one of those plays that when everything's going right, when a team is clicking like this, when you're thinking about the World Series realistically, that's the kind of play that happens. Yeah. And he's exactly right about that. Justin's right about that. So I was really impressed, obviously, by the catch, and just also by the way the team responded. It's almost as if they knew that that they hadn't just won a game, but that something significant had happened.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult in baseball for one play in one game to affect the mood of the team for multiple days. It's rare, because we always hear momentum being the next day's starting pitcher. I thought that catch, when they put up the highlight reel of the Mariners season, there'll be a bunch of Cal Raleigh home runs, and then that.
Yeah.
Because I just think that is, as much as Cal, I think over the fullness of the year, this is the year of Cal Raleigh. We all know that. But in terms of moments, there's probably no greater moment that typifies this team than the Robles catch. And I think that your point, Dave, is perfectly stated, that it involved an element of personal sacrifice to make it possible, to where, and again, like you're a couple feet away from averting your eyes, and that could have been a really nasty collision if there wasn't the awareness there from Julio at the last minute to make sure that he knew what was happening. Just what a brilliant play all the way around, and one that I think Mariner fans are going to cherish.
How big is home field advantage in baseball? We know what it's like in football. The Seahawks lived it for years and years. This is just a place people didn't want to play. They didn't want to come here as an opponent. Baseball is different, but it feels like the Mariners, well, we've seen it in their numbers. We've seen it in their pitching splits and things like that. They're just a different team at home. But should they hang on? Should they, remain in that number 2 seed? They get a bye. And just playing at home for them, is it different, do you think, than other markets, or is it universally similar in your mind in terms of having a home field advantage? It feels like here there's just a different electricity, and maybe it's because they haven't been to a World Series and because we don't have success. And when they do sniff success, this town goes berserk, and that building gets really loud.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, obviously, in general, it's always easier to play at home. That's kind of the standard answer.
Right.
But I think that for this franchise, for the reasons that you mentioned, how long it's been since they had an ALCS game in Seattle. But I think the other piece of it is that it is a different place to play. It's a different environment, obviously a lower run-scoring environment, and the Mariners are used to it in a way that not every other team is. And I think the other piece of this is the Mariners have finally, I think with this team, the way they're playing right now, they have finally hit on something, especially in the last couple weeks, about how to score runs there and what the lineup needs to do, how the at-bats need to look, how to structure a lineup if you're Dan Wilson. Those types of things are now, I think, becoming a little clearer to this team. And obviously they've had, 25 years to figure the ballpark out at this juncture. but it seems as though they have, for this moment in time, it's like the eclipse has happened and they've now got the right personnel at the right ballpark at the right time with the right pitching. And it's pretty fun to watch. So I do think, and listen, I've covered plenty of ballparks in the playoffs that have gone quiet. We had a World Series 6 years ago where the road team won every game. So I'm not going to get carried away and say that it's a determinative element, because it's not. It is not. But I do think the Mariners have a little bit of a different setup than most teams do. And it has, yes, the fans have are certainly a huge part of it, but I think it's the dynamics of the ballpark, the run scoring. Also, and again, this is the other thing that we haven't really had a chance to experience in a real long time, is deep into the postseason, from an atmospheric standpoint, scientifically, of course, climate change, other factors, it's mid-October, late October games are different now than they would have been 25 years ago when they faced the Yankees. And so it's almost like you get deeper into October. What's the weather going to be like on October 30th? I'd love to find out, but we don't know. And how that impacts, again, I realize it's you got the dome and everything else, but the air is the air. And so I think there's some definite atmospheric parts, and you all know this, of living in Seattle, to where the ball might behave a little differently. It's going to play a little different. And this is all stuff that it is the known unknown. We don't know yet, because we haven't seen October. We haven't seen baseball on Halloween in Seattle yet. But that might happen here in a few weeks.
That makes it painful. Why'd
We
you have
haven't
to say
seen
that, JP? No,
We don't know.
You're right.
We don't know. It's the known unknown.
Exactly. Hey, you saw the broadcast last night with Karl Ravech. I thought did a good job of, I don't know. I mean, I think he went a little bit above and beyond as far as his interview with Cal and everything, and just, I don't know. I thought it was a really good advertisement for Cal being MVP, basically. Yeah. And I thought they did a good job with that. And I know they're not going to be mean to him or anything, but I thought it was really. I felt an effect there. What did you think?
I think that if you were going to script a last couple weeks of the season for Cal Raleigh to be the MVP of the American League, it would look exactly like it looks.
Cool.
You would, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, okay, because I don't have a vote this year. This is up to 30 voters. I love this is one thing where we don't have exit polls. We don't have a lot of things we don't have on this, right? And so you're going to have to just wait and see how it all plays out. It's hard to get a 30-person focus group on this, because the only opinions that matter are the 30 people who are actually voting. So that's why it's such a fun thing.
Yeah.
But the Mariners, I think for him to win, the Mariners, I think, had to win the division, which looks likely. Mm-hmm. He had to get in the neighborhood of 60 home runs, which he's done, and maybe he even gets 60, which is obviously it's possible. It's just amazing to think about what he's got a chance to do in the next week. So that's true. The pitching has obviously been so great, and it's such a core part of the identity of this team. And he obviously is a very integral person of that run prevention effort. So it's going to come down to the opinions of those 30 people. And if they want to say, okay, who's the best hitter, the best all-around hitter, pure offensive force in the American League is Aaron Judge. Period. In my opinion, he's still the best hitter. But that's not what the award is. The award is the most valuable player. And when you line it up and say, okay, Raleigh's hit more homers, driven in more runs, and is playing the most demanding defensive position on the diamond for a team that needs to pitch well to win. I mean, all teams need to pitch well to win, but especially the Mariners, the way they're built. And then they go on and win the division. Let's say Toronto wins the East by 3 games. And again, Judge is when he's healthy a good defensive outfielder, but he's been compromised. So this is what it looks like for me. If Raleigh's going to win the MVP, it looks exactly like this. I'm not saying it's going to happen,
right, but
I'm saying the circumstances and the environment are such that it is easier to imagine someone making up what is a fairly significant gap in OPS. If we're being fair, it's still like more than 100 points. It's a big gap. I think that he's deserving of it. I think you could very easily make a case for Judge too. But if they win the division, and it's because of what he does behind the plate and at the plate, and he hits 60 home runs or darn close to it, which is already achieved, it's pretty hard for me to not check the box next to Cal Raleigh's name.
I got to ask you about the Tigers, because it's, we all will lament what goes on here with the Mariners when they're struggling, and it feels like nobody knows what we're going through out here as Mariner fans. And we're talking about a team at one point was the best team in the American League. Looked like they were going to run away with it. In the second half of the season, I was just looking at their schedule, and they just, from the second half on, they came out and lost, 8 of 9 or something like that. I mean, they just got worked right out of the gates, and it's been hit and miss since, to say the very least. What's happened, and what, more importantly, how are people responding? Because you know how it is out here. Everybody stinks. Sure. Trade everybody. Fire that guy, fire that coach, fire that manager. What's the conversation like out there?
I think the prevailing sense from people in Michigan, not that I can speak on behalf of my whole state, but I am part of I am your ambassador from the Midwest to you. The general sentiment is they should have done more at the deadline. And honestly, Eugenio Suarez is one of the guys that I would mention and say that if Suarez is on the Tigers, it's not just, and you've seen this, it's not just the production, it's the presence and the person. Mm-hmm. And I believe that for whatever reason, the front office in Detroit, I think, did not quite give the proper full weight to the value of veteran leadership like a Suarez. Naylor is the same kind of a similar person in terms of what he brings. He's got a presence about him. Mm-hmm. And I think that they miscalculated a little bit. And winning the way the Tigers won last year, when you're not supposed to win, is a totally different job than winning when you're supposed to win. It's just the burden of it, the daily nature of it. There's nowhere to hide. And now, with the injuries accumulating on the pitching staff, you got a guy in Charlie Morton who just wasn't able to pitch well enough to keep a spot. He was released, and now he's going to sign with the Braves to potentially end his career there. It's sad the way that it's unfolded, I think, for the fan base. The fans are, I think, they're more directing their angst at the front office than they are at the players, even though certainly I'm sure the players are hearing plenty of it. Boos here and there. They've given up some leads. They came with one strike of winning a game on Saturday and let it slip away. I mean, again, when you imagine losing one of the biggest leads in the history of postseason baseball to be lost, it looks like this. This is exactly what it looks like.
Was it 15 games?
Yeah. I mean, it's
good night.
This is like biblical. I mean, this is like it is. I thought I would never see and I would have to go back and go sort of, and part of it too is not just that you've lost and we'll see what happens here, but if you go from having that big of a lead to missing the playoffs entirely when there are 6 teams making it in your league, I mean, that is next level. I mean, the Red Sox collapse of 2011 was one of the more epic ones we'd ever seen, but that was back in the era of one wild card, to where if they had even one more wild card, they would have been in, and it would have been no drama, right? So we had that game and the extraordinary night of the way that all unfolded because there was only one wild card, and of course the Rays won it and the Red Sox didn't, and so to finish out of the money, so to speak, when you've got 6 spots and you had that. They had the best record in the American League on September 10th, 12 days ago. 12 days ago. I mean, I was there. I saw that. I was in New York for that game. So I'm a little bewildered. They're still in first place.
Yeah.
But now they got to go play in Cleveland. Then they got to go to Fenway, which I checked with our researchers at MLB Network, Matt Orso, a good friend of mine. I said, when was the last time the Red Sox and Tigers played a series this important in the regular season? They, of course, played in the ALCS back in 2013.
Right.
The answer Matt came back to me was 1972. So the first time in my lifetime they're going to play a series this big, this late against the Boston Red Sox, a fellow charter member of the American League, and all of them are just hoping they can conjure up some of the magic of the Seattle Mariners right now.
Yeah.
I was in the third grade.